The way we set up the program was to have the most common functions in the right-hand column so they are readily available. The rest of the functions are in the menus along the bottom. Since you start each job off with templating, we are going to start by explaining those functions first. Then we're going to go more in depth on the functions used to modify the drawings. There's a lot of preset information we have included in the software just to give you an idea of what can be done. This includes templates from actual manufacturers. Although they came directly from the manufacturer's website, you should verify that they are correct before using. All templating relies on 4 settings. Lines are used to template walls, cabinet bases, and existing countertops. Arcs are used when templating surfaces that have radii on them. Circles are used when templating holes for sink fixtures and columns. A 3-point circle is used for measuring a column, where a 1-point circle is used for inserting a measurement. Finally, crosses are used for reference points, which we will go into at a later time. Before we start learning about the software, we need to understand a basic function about the template, and that is snap points. All lines have snap points, and what they are simply locations of significance. Snap points are located at the ends and midpoints of all lines. Also, whenever 2 lines of any kind intersect each other, they create a new snap point. Snap points are a great way to insert sinks and drop-ins, which we'll discuss in the drop-in section. The first thing you need to do before templating a job is turning the laser on. You do this by simply clicking Laser On. If the laser does not turn on, it might not be connected to the tablet PC. Check in the title bar. If you see laser disconnected, check to make sure that the black box is turned on, indicated by a green LED. If that is on and there is a USB cable attached between the black box and the tablet PC, click on File, Connect to Laser. The most common reason for the laser not to be connected is if the laser is left alone and the tablet PC sits too long. This can then send the tablet PC into standby mode where it will go to sleep. Just to note, when you first turn the laser on by flipping the on-off switch on the black box, this sets your orientation. The laser should be pointed in the direction you want to have it be the top of your drawing. Clicking Laser Off will simply turn the laser off. Start new line is used while templating. For example, if you template one wall and then are ready to move to the next, you will click Start New Line. If you don't, there will be a straight line drawn from the last measured point on the first wall or surface to the first measured point on the second. Notes allows you to type in general information about the job. Say, for example, the owner is a mean dog and you want to warn the installer to ask to have the dog be kept in the backyard while they are installing. This is where any kind of information like that could be kept. There are 2 types of zoom. You can zoom in using the plus and minus signs, or you can click the zoom button. The zoom button is a 2-point zoom function. If you click on the top left and bottom right of a specific area in your drawing, that will become the new zoomed in area. While we're on the topic of zooming, you can also drag the drawing around. If you're using a tablet PC, simply click on the screen and move the stylus around. If you're using a computer with a mouse, click and hold the left mouse button and drag the drawing. If you're in a function like erase or offset and try to pan, be careful. You could accidentally perform the action instead of actually dragging the drawing around the screen. Once zoomed in or zoomed out, clicking Best Fit will automatically resize the drawing on the screen to fit the entire drawing within the constraints of the outside border of the screen. If you make a mistake while editing a drawing, clicking Undo will take back this last action. This can be done up to 20 times. Redo is the same as undo, only going the opposite way. If you use undo to go back a couple steps and accidentally go one too far, redo will move you forward. This can also be done up to 20 times. While you are modifying a drawing, if you want to erase a line, circle, arc, or anything else, click Erase. Then tap on the object you want to erase, and it will be erased. There are a lot of aspects to the color function in our software. First, there is a small radio button next to each color. This signifies what color you are currently templating or modifying the drawing in. Currently, I am working in red. If you want to work in another color, tap the color and then click Select. If you already have a drawing and you want to modify any part of it, click on the color you want to use and then click Revise. Finally, click what you want to change color of. If you want to modify the color of the entire drawing, click Revise All. Then the entire drawing will be changed to the new color. The default color is simply the color the program will begin templating or drawing with when you first start the software. This can be changed to any color you wish to use. Any color can also be designated as visible or invisible. If the box under visible is checked, all objects in that color will be visible. If unchecked, all objects will be hidden. This is commonly used when templates want to hide the cabinet bases, text, or logos when preparing a file for CNC or plotter, since you will not be cutting them, only the outlined countertop or the finished surface with the corners, overhangs, and radii on them. Any color can also be a seam. Seams were added in so the templater could designate where the seam should be while at the job site based on the constraints for installing. If the kitchen does not have a lot of room to move around, you are not going to have an easy time installing large pieces. To turn any color into a seam, click the checkbox next to the color in the seam column. Seams become an important part when you are estimating, since they will not be modifying the square footage. This actually draws two lines on top of each other, and that when they are separated, they will produce two closed polygons. This will be discussed in depth in the slab layout section of this video. As we know, most CAM software uses colors to signify certain tool types. We have designated each color with a standard tool type that are common in the industry. If you do not use the tool types we have supplied or want to change the color represents, you can modify this by clicking and holding on the color while on the tablet PC or right-clicking the color with a mouse while on the computer. A box will appear where you can edit the color description. Distance is used to quickly find the distance between two snap points on the drawing. Click Distance, then click the first point and then the second point, and the distance will be displayed in millimeters, inches and fractions, and inches and decimals. Autofill is used while templating. The way it works is the first two measurements taken will create the first wall, cabinet base, or surface. The next two measurements taken will create the second. After the second surface is created, a corner will be filled in between those two. This avoids the need to click Start a new line between every line, but can only be used on straight surfaces. This is not to be used for scribed walls, but can be used in conjunction with scribed walls. The way you do this is use autofill to template the straight surfaces. Then click the Open button. Next, proceed to do the scribed walls at whatever interval you want the measurements to be taken at. One thing to remember is when you're taking measurements, you should keep the laser beam about 3 inches outside of the corner to avoid any reflection, or you should hit the laser beam directly in the corner. There are 3 types of fillets used in the software: radius, chamfer, and sharp corner. After you have templated your job, you can go back and modify the drawing by putting in any of these fillets. If you wish to put a radius on a corner, type in the number in the dimension box and click the radial button next to radius. Then click OK. Then you will click on the 2 lines you wish to have the radius. If you want to put a chamfer on a corner, type in the dimension you want in the box. Click the radial button next to chamfer and click OK. Then you will click the 2 lines you wish to have the actual chamfer. The way it is figured is it takes the point where the 2 lines would intersect and backs it off that distance you have chosen. Then it draws a straight line between those 2 points. If you wish to use the sharp corner fillet, click the radial button next to sharp corner and click OK. Then you will click the 2 lines you wish to have the sharp corner. Usually, you would only use a sharp corner if you do not use autofill while templating, and instead use Start New Line between each surface face. If you scribed a wall and you want to use the sharp corner, make sure you click the last 2 line segments, otherwise the sharp corner will not appear in the correct location. There are also some standard size radii in the right column of the fillet window. These can be selected instead of typing in the number each time. When modifying a drawing, a very common task is to offset a line. To do so, click Offset. Then type in the number you want to offset the line and click OK. Now click the line you want to offset and click in the direction you want the offset to go. Some common offsets are listed in the right column to use. Because the drawing might be slightly skewed on the screen after templating, making it difficult to work on, you can click Rotate and then click on any line. That line will then be snapped to the closest 90 degrees. The rest of the drawing will then be rotated in relation to how that first line was rotated. If you need to make a line longer to reach another line, Extend is the function you want to use. After clicking Extend, click on the line you want the original line to be drawn to, and then click the line you want to extend. The gap between the 2 lines will be drawn in. Draw Line allows you to draw lines from any 2 snap points. To do so, just click on one snap point and click on another, and a line will be drawn between the 2. Dimensions will bring up the dimensions of every line segment on the screen. Although it appears that the lines may be broken now, they really are not. It's only a visual representation of what the dimension is. To add a drop-in to your drawing, click Drop-in, and select the one you want to use. We have added just a few to give you an idea. Once you have selected the drop-in you want to use, click OK. Now wherever you tap on the screen, that drop-in will be inserted to the nearest snap point. If it needs to be rotated, you can click on the box in the lower right corner of the screen to rotate it to the desired orientation. Once inserted, depending on how the DXF was created and where the 00 point is, you can then offset it back if you need to. 00 point determines where the snap point is used in the drop-in. We will discuss this and how to create a drop-in and modify a drop-in in the Define 00 section of this video, since this is the function you need to use to create one. For countertop fabrication companies that use a few sinks all the time, you might want to add a drop-in of that sink to our software. To do so, the DXF file of the sink, or any other drop-in you might have, like a special corner or mark that indicates the centerline or dishwasher, needs to go in the program file. That is located at c:/program files/laserproducts/LT55XL/templates. We have said it before, but we'll say it again. We have included a few sinks that came directly from manufacturers' websites. However, we cannot take responsibility if these sinks are not correct. These were supplied to us by the manufacturer, and you should check to make sure these measurements and these dimensions on these sinks match the actual sinks you have. Quick Actions is a place where most common actions that you'll be using are located. To use them, just click on the Quick Actions button, then click on the quick action you want to perform. Then you will perform that action, whether that be filling corners, offsetting lines, or adding text. Modifying these will be discussed in the options setting of this video.